Did Celine put this up here?
Yeah. Just, in case we didn't perform,
Yeah.
but we do, so.
All right, well, one of the names that's on here is no longer on the board. Robert Hornbacher.
He never got off.
He never got off.
He's still on.
Yeah. See, I was under the impression he was off.
Remember, we were gonna talk to him, I talked to him, he's staying on.
Okay. All right. I have 2 minutes till. How does that jive with everybody's watch?
1 hour.
1 of?
1 minute 40 seconds.
1 minute 40 seconds. And we have a guest? Are you a guest at the Veterans meeting? Yes. Okay. You're welcome to attend. Okay. What's your name, please? Okay. Would someone like to take minutes?
Eric's taking minutes.
Eric's taking minutes?
Eric's taking minutes.
Okay, would you catch her name? Okay. The time has arrived for the monthly meeting of the City of Lowell Veterans Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first meeting item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise? Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence is our custom. Thank you very much. First item under the old business is to discuss the letter sent to the Secretary Robert McDonald of the Veterans Administration Program.
Yeah.
John?
Just to kind of give everybody a little rundown of what happened last month. Wrote the letter, submitted it to Celine, and everyone was emailed for feedback. And there's a little bit of miscommunication. I guess the letter went directly to the city manager, and city manager read it and approved it, and it was sent out. So as much as everyone wanted to have feedback, which I thought was good, the feedback didn't necessarily, I did get some, I got some feedback for some people, but not everybody's feedback was involved with that. But nevertheless, it was sent to Secretary McDonald, Congresswoman Nikki Songus, Congressman Seth Moulton, Francisco Urena, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and the City Council. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any response. It was sent out December 20th. I didn't expect that we would, considering there's a new administration that's coming in office soon. And as of today, President-elect Trump selected Undersecretary for Health at the VA. He's not a veteran, but nevertheless, he was selected as the new Secretary of the VA, and his name is David Shulkin, S-H-U-L-K-I-N. And I wanted to at least make a quick motion, if we could, to also send a copy of this letter to the new secretary once he's goes through confirmation hearings and is approved.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make it.
Are you seconding it? Seconded by
Yes,
Norm?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion on the motions? You want to call
Roll call.
Roll call.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. I just want to comment on what you had said. When the letter was first sent to Celine, I discussed with her the letter, and I requested that Kevin Murphy review the letter before it being sent out. And he did review it, and it was sent out. And subsequent to that, I had a discussion with a member of the commission, and it was brought to my attention that part of the review by the city manager, before it was sent out to the VA secretary, it should have been reviewed by legal counsel, city solicitor, because there was a section of that letter that could be interpreted as being libelous. And I draw everybody's attention, if they have a copy of the letter in front of them, this sentence, yes,
I agree.
okay, madam, could you leave the room?
No, it's
Being
being
videoed,
taped.
that's taped.
Okay. Maybe we should shut off.
No, it wouldn't, you'd have to. we'd have to-
Executive
we'd
session, I think you have to
No,
leave the
you do.
room. I agree.
Schedule for next time. All right, then, at our next meeting, we will go into executive session, and we will discuss that section of the letter that I'm referring to. Okay. At the next meeting, we'll go into executive session to discuss that portion of the letter that I'm referring to. That'll be the reason for the executive session. Thank you.
And under normal circumstances, when a letter is sent out or approved, this is according to Celine, most with other commissions, it's not necessarily sent to legal counsel, but it is, once it's approved, it's sent. So it's not to go back and have several other discussions on it. But I know this is a little bit different a case relative. We were going to have feedback and whatnot, but I would strongly disagree that a section of this is libelous, just for the record. And, but we'll leave that discussion for executive session if you feel it's necessary. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. I agree.
Right. I think probably what should be done is, for future purposes, no matter what the purpose of a letter, a policy should be established that if letters go out, it should be sent out under certain guidelines. That it should be reviewed by the members, and it should be sent through the city manager's office and reviewed by city solicitor, city manager, and then if the powers to be approve it, then it's sent out. Yes, sir.
You say it should be reviewed by the commission members. Are you referring to?
You can make sure your microphone's on. Sorry.
There it is, it's on.
Would you intend that it just go to the commission members first before it's sent on to the,
Well, it's my understanding that it was sent out to the members first,
It was.
and then through Celine, and the intention was Celine was going to send it out. But when I spoke to her first, I asked that she pass it by the city manager before it go out, which she did. But the next step of going through the city solicitor's office, that step wasn't taken.
Well, before we,
I think we should just bring this up in the executive session.
well, I agree, but before we go saying that the city manager should have all things reviewed by the city solicitor and et cetera. I mean, he is an attorney, and he did review it, and he
Right.
approved it, and I don't certainly think there's any necessary reason to drag the city manager's good name through the mud, so I just would say that for the record.
Well, there was no intention to drag anybody's name through the mud. That was not, I don't want to have that phrase used. I think as the
When you use the
chief
word libelous, I think that's a reason why you might, that's, brings up that type of discussion.
Well, I don't even want that inference used at this meeting. He's the chief executive, administrative officer of the city, and if anything goes through the city, he should be aware of what's being done. And that's the whole intention of my speaking to Celine. Not that he was gonna do anything other than know what was being sent out to a secretary of the United States government. Period. Any other discussion? Seeing none? Moving on. Eric Lamarche, updated Veterans ID program.
I'm not sure, we have a new member. I'll just give a quick update as to how this came about. A little over a year ago, I sat down with John and just threw out an idea. I mean, I have a lot of veterans that come to me daily, sometimes asking for, how can I get a veteran's ID? How can I? And the truth is, it's really difficult to get a veteran's ID unless you're a service-connected disability, or I know the VA is working towards a standard VA ID at the moment, but they don't have it. But I also had a problem where I wanted to identify or get a better estimate of how many veterans we had in the city of Lowell. And having gone through the city census to see who was registered to vote, there was just a little over 4,000 veterans. And I just can't see how that is an accurate number of veterans in the city of Lowell of 110,000, I believe we have. So it was just, it's an effort to, I was thinking that if we could offer them a veteran ID card, I could gather information such as the email address, their addresses, the type of service, what era they were in, and get some data so I could report on the next time I'm asked, how many veterans do we have? I can get a better estimate. But also in return for this, possibly give the veteran, maybe the local businesses might want to work with us and offer them a discount of some sort. So the businesses would hopefully get more business if they had our window sign that I'll show you in a little while. And the veteran would get the discount, the business would get the business, I would get the data that I need, that I would like. In addition to that, I had thought that once we start to gather all this data, I could come up with some electronic version of a newsletter. That way I can update veterans with just updated benefits, federal, state, local, who is new, possibly. I know there was a veteran of I'm not sure if we decided if it was month, year, quarter, but I figured we could put that in the newsletter as well as my the City of Lowell website. But that's basically where this all came from. It's been a year and a half in the making. We finally obtained the machine. I was trained on it last week. Before you all have a copy of, I made John McDonald an ID, which would be used. This was all sent out to all the local businesses today. I worked with Ellison Lamey from the Department of Public Works, and she sent it out through all the Chamber of Commerce and all the local businesses that partner with the city and register with the city. So hopefully my list will grow. Today, it was sent out probably around noon time today, and I'd say around 1:30 I received my first response, which was kind of exciting that people, I know it's only one of all the many businesses in Lowell, but I'm hoping that this kicks off, that every business will have this window sign that you also have in your, You also have in your packets this sign. Hopefully will go in the window. It's just a basic sign, so maybe if the veteran sees this and they go by, they'll say, hey, I can go in here, maybe I can patronize this place, I may get a discount. It's not gonna be a huge discount of any sort. I mean, it
Well,
was,
I think that the bigger picture is the fact that through this ID program and through business participation, the simple fact is that the message is that Lowell's a veteran community and supports its veterans. Whether there's a discount or not, just simple thank you for your service is something that we were hoping to, as we've talked about meeting after meeting, that we send a message to the veterans of Lowell that Lowell supports its veterans. It's a veterans community, it's a veterans city, and that's hopefully a byproduct of this. So I'm hoping, like Eric says, that it catches fire. And I want to say personally, from a standpoint of this coming out of the commission, this being approved by the commissioners, Eric's hard work, that this is the first Veterans ID program of its kind, we believe, in the state of Massachusetts, and that the VSO is going to be handling this, and that Eric will be able to track information, contact information, so more veterans in our community know that this commission's available, that services are available to them, and that, again, Lowell is a place that is veteran-friendly. So I want to personally thank Eric, and I think all of us ought to give Eric a round of applause for getting this done and putting a pretty significant program together. So thank you, Eric.
thank you.
I'd like to add, my dad is 92, and I do a lot of...
Could you just come to
Excuse
the
me?
microphone? Yeah,
Yep.
it's okay.
I'd like to thank Eric for doing that, too. My dad is 92, and he's lived in the city, and he's a World War II veteran, and I can't tell you how many times we've gone to buy a new stove or a new refrigerator, or we get to a Home Depot, and they'll ask him, he'll ask for veterans, and he doesn't have anything in his wallet. And his DD-214 isn't even called that, it's called something else. It's an old, 1943, they use something else. So, just in my father's behalf, I think I'm thrilled. And there are newsletters that come to my house from my mother, who belonged to the VFW Auxiliary Post, but there are no newsletters that go to my dad. So I find him reading those, and my mom passed away 3 years ago. It's kind of sad, but it would be wonderful if there was something that went to him. Thank you, Eric. That's a great idea.
Yeah, great job, Eric, and I think that leaves a lot of people to something to be proud of. So, congratulations. First VSO in Massachusetts to do this. I think that's pretty significant.
Thank you. My goal right now is to start with, I don't know how many people are going to be interested, so I'm just trying to prevent a large influx of people just to bombarding me during the day. So I'm trying to limit between 8:30 and 9:30, Monday through Friday. You can make it by appointment only, or how John did it actually worked out fine for me, and our board member, another board member as well, will be submitting electronically. It'll just be easier for me that way, and I can.
So would you recommend if someone's going to submit information via email that they send a copy of the DD Form 214, a picture, and their basic information, and obviously their name, the branch that they served in, the years that they served?
Yes, it's all on everything I need is basically the DD 214, and fill out the application, which I hope to be on the city website very shortly. And you just print that out, and you can either mail it in, or you can just hand walk it in, and then schedule a time to pick it up, or email it, and I'll tell you when it's ready. The whole process, it should take 10 minutes max.
Great.
An active ID card's gonna work too, though, correct?
What's that?
Active ID card?
Yes.
All right.
Just need to verify that this is, just reiterate, this is for Lowell veterans only. It did cost the city a significant amount of money to purchase the system and the software. And we will be offering the first card is at no charge, but to prevent, people coming back more often, there'll be a small $5 fee just to help pay for the supplies.
If they lose the
if
first
they
one.
lose the first one.
Question,
Yes, sir.
on this ID, will this include wives of veterans if they pay a fee? Can that,
This is just for a
just
Lowell
strictly
veteran.
for Lowell
But I
veterans?
do think the discussion was that it would include reservists, I think.
Yeah, anyone who's,
Anyone that put on a uniform.
right, exactly. Reserve, guard, right?
Correct.
And active duty or veteran.
The ID cards don't have a differentiation now, at least for the Army.
Okay. Good.
Any other old business? Hold on a second. Wait a minute, I'll get back to you in a second. Any other old business? We do have at least 3 items of old business that we have to get out of the way.
I thought it was 10, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we do have to get out of here. At a prior meeting of the commission, you, Mr. Hall, had a series of motions.
Yes.
One of the motions you had was an update on Lowell Veteran of the Month.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to you, there's been some discussion about that. And creating a program where we had a Veteran of the Month, it would be a little unruly to do that on a monthly basis of recognizing a veteran each month. It would be easier to do it on a quarterly basis and annually from those that were recognized, nominate one from the FOA and make it Veteran of the Year. Now, I'd like to appoint a committee of this commission of maybe 3 individuals that will oversee that program. Now, my thoughts are as follows, that this committee would solicit ideas from the established veterans organizations, work with the Lowell Sun and the city agencies to promote this program, get recommendations of the veterans, and bring those ideas back to a meeting where the Veterans Commission would nominate an individual for Veteran of the Quarter. And 3 months later, go through that same process and nominate a new Veteran of the Quarter. And again, the next quarter, do the same thing. And then at a certain time of the year, let's say Veterans Day, period, that's when we would nominate the Veteran of the Year.
Well, I
We
guess
would
if
have
I
a
could,
ceremony, and the city of Lowell would issue on each quarter a proclamation nominating that person Veteran of the Quarter, and a proclamation is issued at our Veterans Monthly Meeting. And then annually, a plaque is given to that Veteran of the Year.
I guess if I could comment on that, I still think that the motion that passed unanimously is a better idea, but some of your ideas, I think, or suggestions, I think we could use, but I do think that a veteran, and it's not because this veteran's better than this one or that one, they should just be recognized because they're a veteran. I'm just worried if you have Veteran of the Year, we're somehow valuing one person's service more than the other person's service, but I do like the aspect of your idea where we could take, I still think there should be a veteran every single month that we recognize. That we're running out of time with the World War II veterans, and I certainly think there's at least one that we could do every month, but I think your idea about the quarterly, I was thinking about how those people could be recognized by the city as a whole, and perhaps once a quarter, our 4 previous months' worth of veterans could go to a city council meeting and be recognized as the nominees for June, July, August, and September, and perhaps the mayor or the councilors can issue some thanks to them. So I'd be willing to amend my initial idea with that suggestion by you, but I wouldn't want to abandon the initial program where I suggested that the vice chairman spearhead the recognition of one veteran per month.
Okay.
Well, I have a question, is where are we coming up with that it's too cumbersome to have a veteran recognized every month? And that, is there another committee that was formed, or is there, you'd initially started the conversation with that, unbeknownst to you, there's been some discussions. I'm just curious as to where that would come from, relative to the,
Well, it's not
because we
that
had a
it's-
unanimous
It's
motion
not that it's
passed.
too cumbersome, but discussions are good, and we really have to keep the idea that Jim had alive. It's just a matter of keeping the discussions going. But I think we should form a committee to work on what Jim had done, to cement how we're gonna be doing this.
Is that a motion you're making?
No,
Okay.
All right, I think we can at least charge forward what the original motion was. So I think my suggestion was all of us can send recommendations to the vice chairman, whoever it may be, and I'll admit I've been a little lax on that, but I think we certainly can do that for next month. He'll create a ongoing pool of people to select from, and if none of us issued a nomination, then he certainly could use his own initiative. But it doesn't have to be like the most person who's had the most valor in the history of the city of Lowell. It can be just someone, you know, like myself who served, you know, normally, so to speak, and they're recognized maybe because they're 70 or 80 years old, and they should be recognized in public. But that was the intent, not to pick out someone who has, you know, extraordinary award history or something like that, and I think we can keep the momentum going if we
Yep.
just start.
well, would you be adverse to having a committee established of
I
two or
think
three
it'll,
people to
I
work
think
on it?
it'll bog it down, sir. That's why I wanted to use the initiative of the vice chairman to pick someone after we all nominated them. I think if we meet with a committee, it's gonna slow it down.
No committee then, okay. All right, John, do you want to work on that then?
Be more than happy to,
Fine,
so
okay.
starting next month, we'll have I'll present a name, but I highly encourage all of Veteran Commission members, and I'm looking at you, Kyle, because I know there's an awful lot of veterans on the police department that are doing some good things behind the scenes people might not think about, so it just kind of bringing that out to try to trigger some ideas. Jay, you might run into people in your walks of life, and Norman, you know, and Frankie, we have people at the VFW we know that might deserve a little recognition, might not get some otherwise. So just some ideas of, certainly Eric, you run into people every single day because of the position you're in, and so I encourage everybody to send me a name, compile the information, a name with a description of why you think that they should be nominated as Veteran of the Month. And I think that that would be a great exercise. And we'll present it, and I'll present a name, and we'll all have a say and a vote on it.
So that we will continue to try to do this once a month rather
Yep.
than quarterly.
Right.
Okay,
But I do think the ideas, Mr. Chairman, that you brought up, the once a quarter, I think it would be great if the city council would entertain
I agree.
bringing those once a quarter. And then if we have an annual reception or whatever, we certainly should invite those 12 to attend to be recognized again. So I think that's in the spirit of what you suggested.
Yeah, I like that idea.
all righty.
Will you be, will you
Yes.
solicit the veterans organizations for their input?
I'm not going to solicit veterans organizations for their input, no. That wasn't part of the motion that we made, but, I mean, if veterans organizations want to submit it, and they're watching, they hear it, they certainly can, yeah.
I'll approach the veterans organizations. I think they're an integral part of the community.
Well, they are, but I'm not saying that they're not.
I didn't
But
say that.
But what I'm saying is that we're talking about the Veterans Commission as making suggestions, not that That wasn't part of the original motion. I'm just trying to stick to the original motion that was made.
So they can channel their recommendations through the various commissioners, which I think is a good idea, Mr. Gatt.
Good. The next item on the agenda is something that was brought up back in November about having an annual meeting and having elections. Now, the elections that were called for and the office that's open is vice chair and secretary. And nominations are on the floor and are open for vice chair and secretary.
That's incorrect,
Why is it incorrect?
because last month, we had a meeting,
Yep.
which the original motion was all officers, including the chairman. And the fact that you had come out and said that that was not open for discussion relative to the chairman's position, the original motion was not, again, kept in place. So we're not going to have elections, and we talked about this last month, that we're not going to have an election until that issue is settled.
I reported that I met with the city manager, and he told me that he is the appointing authority for the chairman.
Right.
So the chairman's slot is not up for discussion.
I met with the city manager and had a discussion with the city manager, and you are correct that he will make that appointment. But we also had a discussion that it might be open for us to decide. So it's not settled. So we can't have an election at this point in time.
Well, could I make a motion that the current officers continue in their current roles until this issue is ultimately resolved?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll second that motion.
Till their successors are
Fine.
appointed.
Unless any of you guys disagree.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think there's a pun out there that says something like, this is a kettle of fish.
Seems like a good development for us.
Fine. Any other old business that hasn't been brought up? Seeing none. Under new business. Any new business? Yes, Jay?
Mr. Chairman, I became aware of the fact that the Council on Aging holds a breakfast for veterans on the second Friday of every month. And I spoke to Michelle Romalo and indicated an interest in attending, and also mentioned that some of the other commissioners might want to attend. And she said everybody would be welcome. She would see that they got recognized when they were there. And if you want to attend this Friday, they're also going to have a state trooper named Dan Clark, who sings at a lot of events. So
He's awesome.
When is it?
Really good.
it's this Friday at 9 o'clock at the senior center.
The singing state trooper, he
Yeah.
goes around all
I
over the
heard
place.
a lot about him. I've never heard him sing, but.
And I just think that Mrs. Romalo and the Council for Aging and the staff at the senior center should be commended for putting on this event every month.
Great, I agree with you.
So this Friday morning, what are the hours?
9 o'clock, I don't know how long it'll last.
9 o'clock?
About an hour.
Good.
There's a group from the VCCC that comes in, they get bussed in, some come from Bedford. There's probably about 30 veterans, 30 of the Bedford veterans.
Okay, I'll be there. Now, I shut you off back there. Would you care to step up and introduce yourself as a guest?
Yes, my name is Howard Swenson. I live in Lowell. I'm a disabled veteran. And I don't even know if this is the right place to address this issue, but I figured it'd be a good place to start. My mother passed away a couple of years ago. I had to put her, before she passed away, I put her in in Palm Manor Nursing Home. It was costing 13 grand a month. So, of course, the government attaches her property, and until her property runs out, she can't be put on Medicaid. So I went home and I discussed it with my wife, and I said, you know, maybe we should, I heard we can get a trust and protect our property so that the government can't do that to our children, or, and that won't happen to us. She said, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So I got an attorney and I got a trust on my property. And I had an abatement of $400 a year from the city because I'm a disabled veteran. Well, I get a letter from the city, you no longer have an abatement. So I called the assessor's office and the city of Lowell, and they said, yeah, that's right, you don't own the property anymore. I said, well, why are you sending me the tax bill if I don't own the property? Well, it's the law. I said, well, I'm the same guy that pays the tax bill every year. So I called, I think, Nagel's office, and his office looked into it, and they told me that there was a House bill that was introduced on February 29th of 2016 to address this problem. There are a lot of veterans like me. We're trying to protect our families to get, you know, so that the state won't put a lien on our house, and or even our wives, because I'm going to go before my wife goes. And I thought maybe I could come to you fellas, and maybe you can put some pressure on the state, because these bills probably sit in the House for 10 years before anybody...
Do you have a House bill number, sir?
Yes, I do. It's House Bill 4029, introduced February 29, 2016. It's to replace H2476, so it's been before the legislature before.
H2476?
That was the old one, yeah, H2476. And the Mass House bill now is 4029. And I don't know if anybody's ever brought it to your attention before, but when I saw that there was a Lowell Commission for the veterans, I said, you know, it'd be a good place to start. And
Well, I would say I appreciate you coming down and informing the commission about this issue, because last year, one of the most comprehensive veterans bills, and there was a lot to it, was passed, and they have a lot more, I know, on the agenda for this year.
yes,
And I'm personally, on my personal side, outside the commission, I'm going to be meeting with some state reps as early as tomorrow night to talk about a couple different things. I'd be more than happy to bring this up and see, because I have no sense of whether there's a good idea that it will be passed or where it stands, but I could certainly get some information. So if you would, is there a
what I
piece of paper up
understand-
there, Norman? This gentleman's contact information, and I'll
I could write on the back of this.
try and help you out with that.
okay. Somewhere in here.
Guess I'm going to look into this bill too, but this brings up a point that the homestead exemption, they now allow, if you have a trust controlling your property, you still, in certain circumstances, can get a homestead if you're using it as your primary residence, and this seems to be somewhat analogous to what this gentleman's bringing up. Perhaps, I don't know if this bill cites that sort of language, but I understand what he's bringing up, the problem.
Sir, are you here for the Veterans Commission or the Conservation Commission?
Yes,
Which?
conservation.
Okay.
My email address?
They're meeting at 7?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sir, John McDonald, and,
Howard Swenson.
all right, I'll give you, if I find something out, I'll give you a call.
All right, John, thank you.
Is it okay to stay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you recognize the next speaker? Was she here to speak, or?
Do you have anything else to say?
Turn it on.
Did you want to speak on something?
I did briefly. Thank you for your time. My name is Linda Brusso, and I've worked this year with Eric Lamache. My husband was a disabled veteran, grew up in Lowell, and we bought his house that he actually grew up in on Wentworth Avenue. And this started, I tried to have a wreath dedication, and the city of Lowell didn't include the veterans, but my husband had done 2 tours in Vietnam, so I made an appointment with Eric, and we went over the records. And I was very, very pleased and honored that the Veteran Services decided to dedicate a monument to my husband at Shed Park. Talking to some veterans at the VFW, they suggested that I might come to this meeting, because if I told, the date is April 29th at noon in the afternoon, and maybe through your organization, we could let the city council know that day because of the dedication for Don Brusso.
Linda, I will certainly, that's part of, when we meet to finalize arrangements for that dedication, I will certainly notify all the delegation, the state delegation, just to make sure that they're all aware, including this commission.
Okay, I had no idea, I don't know what.
It's okay, it's on my checklist.
Okay. It was a 2-part memo that I had. The second part was that I'm very honored the monument is in place right now at Shed Park, and it has to go up to Les Granite to be inscribed. And ironically, Les Granite is the home, my family home was all of his variety, and that's going there. And I talked to Adrian Les, whose father used to own it. I knew the older Mr. Les first. But the engraving is going to be quite expensive. I wanted to include, I wanted it to have a special purpose, a peace dedication. Don was very, very involved in the war, and he constantly talked about why we send gentlemen to the war, you know, even our youngest ones, but he believed that there should be peace on earth, and we all talk about war, but we don't talk about peace enough. So I wanted to put a few extra words on it, which of course is going to increase the invoice from Les Granite. And I wondered, I don't mind paying for it, but I also have a daughter that's getting married this year that just graduated from college. And it's a little tough for me because it's going to be close to $2,000. So I was wondering if we could have some kind of $1 donation from different veteran services, or 50-cent donation, or just something that might help me pay 25 to 30% of it, and I'll pay the difference. Just a little bit of help, I guess, is what I'm asking for. I don't know how to say it properly. But anything that would help to pay that invoice from Les Granite would greatly be appreciated.
Good, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I have your contact information, we'll see what we can.
Good. Any other new business? Seeing none. Any communications? Yes, sir.
Just a little item of information. I just read a book called The End of War by a Major General Charles Sweeney. He flew on both atomic bomb missions over Japan. He flew one of the auxiliary planes in the Hiroshima mission, and then flew the plane that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. And he was born in Lowell.
He was born in Lowell?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
I don't think he spent a lot of time here, but he was born here.
Yeah. Sweeney.
Sweeney.
That's interesting. I knew of him. In later years, he was the commanding general of the Air National Guard,
Correct.
Mass Air National Guard. Yeah. Were you aware that he was?
I did not. I just made a note to look up that book.
Yeah,
I will know tomorrow.
yeah. In fact, he's highly quoted in The Rising of the Sun by O'Reilly. Yeah. It's an interesting fact. Thank you very much. All right. Again, any communications? Any questions and answers from the group? The next meeting is February 8th, 6 PM. Any other items? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in
second
favor?
it.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.